Well, we're down here in downtown West. This is kind of Main Street downtown. Runs along the railroad here, and look over, there's an old railroad depot over here. Depot or railroad station? I don't know, one of the two. Depot. Anyway, come over, look at the sign. It says Katy Depot. And what is the difference between a railroad depot and a railroad station? Anyway, so I was out here walking around, and I thought I'd walk up and kind of look in the doors of this old railroad depot. It's kind of been restored. It's repainted. It's not dilapidated like some of them are. You know, they're just about ready to fall down. This one's actually, they keep it up, you know, painted and whatnot. Oh, starting to sprinkle. Get a little rain finally. But Railway Express Agency. I'm sure this is locked. Yep. But you look inside. Some of the old woodwork. All oak and everything. I guess that's where you'd buy your ticket at. Right over there. And then there's waiting benches along the wall. And then you come over here. This is where you know, loading dock area would be. And a train. There's another loading dock, a loading door. And this is out on the dock, and the train would pull right up beside here. And this is where they would, in the years past, they've moved the train over, their track over anyway. And anyway, I thought they're kind of neat. I don't know a lot of the history of these railroad things. There's other people that know a lot more about it than I do. But we were walking around looking at this place, and I saw a historical marker over here. And I'd never heard of this. This was... You're going to learn a lot about history, especially in Texas history. When driving around, you see these historical markers, and you pull over and read them. You'll learn a lot of stuff about stuff that happened in history. Duh. So anyway, I'll get there eventually. Here's isn't that neat? It's one of the old railroad things. What do they call them? Push cart? Push cart? I don't know what they call those things. Anyway, here's an historical marker. Now, I ain't going to let you read it yet. I'm going to go see if I can't find this place. So, let's go get in the pickup and go searching. I was about ready to get on the freeway heading south to where this location is, and it just dawned on me, oh, the West Auction House, West Auction Incorporated is right here, and it just brought back memories back in the old days. I spent many a night parked in this parking lot sleeping, because the next morning get up and go in this cafe in here, and they had excellent breakfast, you know, for like $4.95, and it was so much food back, you know, back in the day. But yeah, this was a really, really good place to eat, and because they had such a big parking lot, you know, a lot of truck drivers would stop here. It wasn't really a truck stop, but it was for me. I love this place. From what I understand, I was talking to the local cop in town, and he said the restaurant's closed now. But anyway, it looks like the auction barn's still going though. So, but anyway, get back on the road and get on down to where I was going to show you, or head down to where we was going to take you to, or continue on to what we was going to go do. Well, we're here. Where's here? I am in the second largest town in Texas. Think about it. Which one? What would that be? Think about it. Do, 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 do. The second largest town in Texas, huh? The second largest town in Texas is Crush, Texas. What? The second largest town in Texas? No, it'd be Dallas or Houston or maybe San Antonio or something, you know? El Paso's even getting pretty darn big. But the second largest town in Texas was Crush, Texas. 1896. 124 years ago. 124 years ago, on September 15th, 1896, W.G. Crush come up with an idea. Let me preface this a little bit. Back in the late 1800s, the trains were steam engines, okay? And they had these 30-ton steam engines, and those would have been the ones you saw going across the prairie in I don't know, like in Lonesome Dove or something like that. Those kind of movies, you know. They got the train with about 6 or 7 cars, and you know, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, blowing the train up. That would have been about a 30-ton train back then. Well, then, around the late 1800s, they came up with a bigger steam locomotive, and it was a 60-ton. Okay. Now, I'm not a big train guy. I don't know a lot about trains, just what little bit I learned reading this article. But this 30-ton engines were being phased out in favor of the 60-ton, the bigger engines. What are we going to do with all these little old engines? These 30-ton engines? Well, you saw them for scrap. Well, W.G. Crush come up with an idea. Why don't we crash a couple of them together? So he crashed a couple of them together, and he sold tickets to the event. Well, now I take that back. It was a free event. It was free. Come out and watch it. Problem is, it's the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't say the middle of nowhere, but back then it was pretty desolate out here. Wasn't a lot of, wasn't an interstate right over there for darn sure. So you got to remember, this was before cars. 1896 is before cars, just horse and buggies and stuff. So the train was the main thing going through here. Over there was nothing. There would have been no roads, and no way to get here. So what he did, he sold tickets to get here. $2 to get on a train anywhere in Texas. Well, anywhere in Texas that their railroad line ran to. The railroad line was Missouri, Kansas, Texas lines. Okay, the MKT. Okay, the MKT, and I think they called it the Katy line. I'm not sure on that, but anyway. So, hence the name of the Katy Depot. Okay, I don't know that for sure, but that makes sense to me anyway. So you got the Missouri, Kansas, Texas lines, and they had train lines going around different areas in Texas here, and they said, we will sell you a $2 ticket anywhere that you can get on a train, and we'll bring you here. Well, back then, $2 was equivalent to about $61 today. So for $61, you could get on a train and come out and see 2 trains blow up or crash into each other. All right, so they put this on, and a whole bunch of people showed up. 40,000 people showed up for this thing. All right. And it was supposed to, I think they were supposed to crash around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But people wanting to get a better view, they kept getting closer and closer, and they were just right off the line out here. And they said, oh, hold on, we got to get these people back. So they're pushing all the people back, getting them far enough back, and they delayed it until about 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock, they had engine 999 up there, and they had engine 1001 down there. And they bring them together and took a photo of them together, So here comes 5 o'clock. They back them up about a half mile that way and a half mile that way. Ready, go! And they put them together, and they crashed doing about 22.5 miles an hour, which is equivalent to about 45 mile an hour crash together to themselves, okay? All right, so 45 mile an hour crash. They weren't expecting it, but one of the boilers exploded. They were thinking it was just going to go. Well, with the boiler exploding, they had shrapnel flying everywhere. Ended up killed 3 people. So 3 people died, and Crush was fired. This W.G. Crush. He was the promoter of this whole event, and he was fired. And then the next day they hired him back because they thought, there's nothing he could have known to do any different about it. So they hired him back. All right, the official photographer was standing over there somewhere, and you can imagine this was the day of the tripod and the camera with the little telescoping accordion looking thing for the lens, for the box. I had the cover up over his head, so he's bent over and he's got the camera. Okay, Then he goes click right during the, when they hit. Boom! He pulls his cover up and a rivet comes over and hits him in the eye and put his eye out. You can't make this stuff up. So anyway, yeah, people did goofy things back then too, I guess is what I'm trying. I just never heard of this. I'd never ever heard of this. And when I read that historical marker down there, I'm like, oh, I gotta go check this out. So that'd make a good video. So here we are. Anyway, let me see if I missed anything. 40,000 people, circus tent. Second largest town in Texas at the time. Sold tickets for $2, which is $61. Missouri, Kansas, Texas lines, which I think is called the Katy lines. 30 ton versus 60 ton, 45 mile an hour. Boulder exploded. 3 people died. Photographer lost an eye. Crush was fired. Some of the music I've been playing for this, I got off of it's Scott Joplin. Scott Joplin was a composer back in the day, and you remember back in that day, that era, ragtime was real big. He was a ragtime composer. So he put together this music you've been listening to. It was called The Great Crush Collision. That was the name of the song. And so anyway, it's amazing what you learn. Just keep your eye open. You can see you'll learn all these neat little things. So I didn't know anything about this. Came down to West to do that video about the West Texas fire explosion, or fertilizer explosion, and I run across this. So ain't that cool? All right, where are we going to next? We're gonna head northeast out of here. So see you next time. Ciao.